Welcome to another edition or a new edition of U.S. College Experts College Prep Chat. My name is Ayo Oseni, and I am your college admissions strategist. Tonight, I'm going to do something a little bit different with you guys. I know in the past, I've talked about several college admissions topics, anything from just college applications, how to pay for college, but I wanted to make sure that I connected you with an expert in the field when it comes to scholarships. So joining me today is Ashley Hill of College Prep Ready. She is a scholarship search strategist. This is all she does is she connects people with scholarship opportunities and helps them with that whole entire process. And so she's going to be sharing some amazing tips tonight. And so if you are on here and you're wondering who really should be on this broadcast or who should be watching, I want to let you know she's going to talk about scholarships for middle schoolers, scholarships for undergraduate students, scholarships for adult students, scholarships for international students. So if you fall in any one of those categories, Ashley is going to be able to talk to your situation tonight. And if you know someone that should be on this webinar tonight, I implore you, we're actually broadcasting from Facebook as well as through Zoom. So if you know anyone, go ahead and share out the link either way. And let's go ahead and get started. Ashley, you ready?
I am. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so just a couple of quick things that I want to run through. This webinar will be recorded, and the slides will be made available to those of you who have registered. And so you might be saying, hey, I'm catching you on Facebook, and that's where I'm seeing you. I did not register. That is quite okay. I'm going to go ahead and share a link with you where you can actually provide me your email, and I will also share the webinar recording as well as the slide presentation. So if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat box, whether on Facebook or in Zoom, and we will try our best to answer them. We are trying to keep this webinar to about an hour, hopefully, but we'll try to stick to an hour because I know it's Thursday evening and we have a lot to do, and so I don't want to take advantage of your time. And so that web link, if you are joining us on Facebook and you want this recorded presentation as well as the slides, go to bit.ly/USC web request. That is bit.ly/USCE web request, and so that's right here on the screen, and we'll definitely get slides and recording to you. My goal is to have this information out to you, slides and recording available to everyone within the next 2 days. But please do just exercise patience with me. I have a lot going on, but I do want to make sure I get that information to you. And so for you, some of you who are joining us today, you're like, okay, Ayo, I know you, but I don't know what you do. I don't know Ayo. I don't know what this is all about. Well, let me just explain a little bit about myself, my business, and what I do. I'm the co-founder of U.S. College Experts. What we do is we partner with students and families to help them navigate the college admissions process. So, and my goal with my students that I work with is I don't want them to take out student loans. So anything that we can do now to prepare us in that process to avoid taking out the maximum amount of student loans, that's what I want to do. I want to reduce any amount of debt you have to take out. And so some of our services that we provide are one-on-one coaching. We work with international students. We've just came back from a college tour. We do that. We do both group and private. So if you just want your kids or just your family or your church group, we can set something up for you with that. We provide financial aid, assistance, and so much more. So that's just a kind of, just a brief overview of what we do. And so if you're joining the webinar now and you're saying, Ayo, I'm looking at this list and I want to work with you, or I want to find out more information of your services and how we can partner, that is great. I have a free 20-minute consultation available. You can just go online and schedule that, and that's at bit.ly/USC webinar. I know there's going to be a lot of BIT links. I didn't want to put the whole link out there because of time, and I wanted you to be able to grab it quickly. So again, 20-minute free intro conversation about anything that you're concerned with when it comes to college admissions process. bit.ly/USC webinar. And so what I want to do is introduce Ashley Hill. Like I said, she's a scholarship search strategist. She's been doing this for years. She's the founder of College Prep Ready. And one thing that I love about Ashley is that she is passionate when it comes to sharing knowledge about working with students in finding scholarships, whether it is that $10,000 or that $50,000 or that $500 scholarship. She is down there with you, working and supporting you through the process. And so she doesn't just give you information and leave you hanging. She is always available. And I do want you to make sure that you check her out. She's on Twitter, she's on Instagram, she's on Periscope. She has a group that she's going to talk about tonight. She's everywhere. She has books that she's written. She is amazing. So the information she's going to be sharing tonight, I go ahead and grab your pens and your notepads or your phone so you can take these notes down, because it's going to be information that will maybe be life-changing for you, or information you didn't know before. So what I'm going to do is pass it on over to Ashley. Ashley, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. All right.
And so I wanted to talk about this slide right here. So by the end of this webinar, you're going to learn these 4 things at a minimum, because like Ayo said, and Ayo, thank you for the kind introduction, by the way. I believe in, and I know you do as well, Ayo, in giving you guys as much information as we can squeeze into 60 minutes or so. So we're going to do our best, but we're going to talk about how you can use your qualities, and qualities are like traits, characteristics, things about you, your leadership experience, your hobbies, your talents, how you can use these things to find and win more scholarships. I'm also going to teach and show you how you can begin the scholarship search by focusing right in your community, local opportunities. Thirdly, I'm going to talk about is how to tap into your network. There's a lot of, whether you know it or not, there's a lot of scholarship opportunities right there in your network. So I'm going to show you how to tap into that. And then lastly, I believe in giving you resources that we can get started right away. And so I will be sharing about available resources that you can access online right now. Do I have control? Do you want me to? Oh, you got it. Okay.
Yes. Okay, but let me, I thought I did, but I'm gonna give you control right now. Make sure.
So now I just click through, right? I think I'm good. Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, so I want to do a poll question first, and thanks for throwing this in there. When it comes to searching for scholarships, how confident are you with your current process? I would love for you to share your feedback right here in Zoom. If you're in Zoom, if you're joining us on Facebook as well, just post it there, right there in the comments of, from 1 to 10, how confident are you, or not 1 to 10, sorry, but in these 3 options here, how confident are you with your current process? Are you really confident, like, I got this? Or are you the second option where I've never thought about applying for scholarships? I'm new to this. Or are you not confident at all? You don't know where to start, you don't know, and you need help with that process. And I think are people putting in comments?
Yeah, I'm watching that now as well.
Okay. So I'll continue talking, but then we will, maybe like in a few minutes or so, we'll look at the results of your poll and we can see what everybody said. Okay.
Okay, cool. And just a reminder, we're going to answer questions. Well, maybe I didn't say it. We're going to answer questions at the end of the session.
Yes. We'll answer them at the end. So please, stick around. We are going to answer your questions, I promise you. All right. Okay, so, oops, I went too far. I think that's the first one.
Okay, okay, this is the first one.
Okay, very good. So how to find scholarships. Here's the thing, when you're searching for scholarships, whether this is online, whether this is offline in your community, however you're currently searching for scholarships, I've noticed there's a lot of issues, but one big issue is that because of the wealth of information, it's so much out there that a lot of you are trying to sift or wade through all this information, and you're getting frustrated, and some of you are giving up, or you're just like, hey, I'm going to resort to loans, which Ayo said earlier, we don't want that for you guys. So I want to really challenge how you view this process, how you view searching for scholarships, and I want to show you a better way to do that. And so here's the thing, here at the heart of it, like at the essence of this process, you have to focus on yourself. I was sharing this with a group in Birmingham a few weeks ago, that you are you and no one else can be better at you than you. And it is true. No one else can be better at you than you. Even if you have a 4.0 and your friend down the street has a 4.0, there are still differences among you. Besides your obvious, differences being human, but you may be involved in different activities. Your passions may be in a different area than your friend. And so here's the thing, take advantage of that. Those differences can mean the difference between you going to college debt-free and perhaps you not knowing how to take advantage of this and having to take on massive debt. So I want to encourage you to focus on you and only focus on scholarships that fit you. And I know it sounds super simplistic when I say it like that, so we're going to dig into what that means. But I've given you a few areas to get started here. Number one are your qualities. Again, these are your passions. Are you passionate about the environment? Are you passionate about eradicating child hunger? Are you passionate about social justice? That's a really huge area now in our present time. Are you passionate about going into STEM, science, technology, engineering, or math? What are you passionate about? Your leadership experience. I ask this question all the time. You have to start off with, do you consider yourself a leader? And hopefully you said yes. Because here's the thing I can tell you, even with judging competitions, scholarship competitions, that your leadership experience is what a judge is looking for. We're looking to see who are you outside of the classroom, outside of your transcript, beyond your SAT score and ACT score. And those are important. They still need to be, you still need to do your best in those areas. But when it comes to scholarships, as a judge, the mindset is we have to find a way to filter out who goes to the next round. And so I have to know you beyond your test scores. And so we look at the essay, we look at where have you led locally? How are you serving your local community? How are you giving back? Are you doing that? And in what capacity? So that's what we're looking for with leadership experience. And here's the thing, you don't have to be a CEO. You don't have to be a founder. You don't have to be a president, but you can lead from where you are. Even if you're watching right now and you're a parent, you're a middle school child, there are activities that you guys can either become a part of or launch. And so here's a way to do that is simply thinking, okay, what do leaders do? Leaders solve problems, right? Leaders work well with others. Leaders take initiative and take some of those qualities of a leader and find ways to do that locally. It doesn't have to be a massive project. It can be simply gathering canned goods and taking them down to the shelter as a family, right? It could be creating Christmas cards for your local senior, what do they call it, the nursing home for senior citizens, if that's your area. But tie it back to that area of passion. If you're an adult student, odds are you're probably employed, you're working, and so see where you can lead at on the job. See if you can initiate solving a problem that can help your team to perform better. So just find ways to do that where you are. Next are your hobbies, and literally your hobbies. Do you sing, dance, write, bake, tap dance, whatever your hobbies are, because there are scholarship providers that promote these hobbies and they're passionate about that. And so they give funding to support students who are passionate and who are talented in those same areas. Same thing with talents. If you're a talented singer, writer, maybe you write songs, poetry, maybe you've published a book, what have you. But it's about focusing on scholarships that fit you. Because when you focus on scholarships that fit you, you don't have to worry about all of the other scholarships that you're finding, because they won't be a good fit for you. Ayo, do you have anything to add to that?
No.
Okay. That's good. All right, the next. Sorry, all right. So I set that up to lead into this now, is again, you have to focus on you. And let me talk about that for just a second. And I'm sure you've heard this before too. There's a lot of students that they're worried about competition. They're like, Ashley, I don't want to start. I don't want to do this. And same thing with college admissions too. Applications, I don't want to apply for this because there's so many students that are smarter than me. They're more talented than me. Their dad's the president of Coca-Cola, all these other things. And I have to remind them that you have to focus on you. No one can beat you at that. No one has lived the experiences that you have lived. No one, they haven't learned those life lessons and learned things like you have, because no one has lived your life. So this is why it's so important that you take time to focus on things. And let me say this for parents of your middle schoolers that are listening or watching as well. Even at that age, even at the middle school age, your child is in the discovery phase, I'm sure, of some things, but take time to sit down with them. That's a great conversation to have and say, hey, you know, what are some things you're interested in doing? And whatever they come back and tell you, support that, foster that passion, help them get plugged in locally. We're going to get into that, the local network, but find ways to help them to get experience in that and see if they really, you know, enjoy doing that. Another thing with leadership experience I do want to talk about is volunteering. That is a great way. That's one of the best ways to get leadership experience is by volunteering. And so again, is seeing locally where the opportunities are. But if what you or your child wants to do does not exist, I say create it, initiate it, because that's something a leader would do, is initiate that. All right, so here's an activity. I love giving you guys action steps. That way you can implement what we're talking about. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to take some time and simply put down a list of your qualities, your leadership experience, your hobbies, and your talents. And I'm going to share with you why. So I know you guys obviously know who LeBron James is, Serena Williams, Michael Phelps, the Olympic swimmer. These athletes, and they're at the top of their, you know, their industry. They have a stat sheet. So if you were to go to the National Tennis Association, if you were to go to the Professional Golf Association and look up Tiger Woods, and for LeBron James, NBA.com, the National Basketball Association, if you put in their name, you're going to get back a list of statistics, right? You're going to see when did they start, when did they turn pro? You're going to find out how tall they are, their average weight, their awards, major accomplishments that they have. For LeBron James, how many teams he's played on. We know he recently moved to LA or is in the transition, but you would find out all of these things about them. That's their stat sheet. That's their accomplishments. That's their resume, you know? And so I encourage you guys to create your own scholarship resume. Create your own listings, and don't be shy. If you've received awards and you're a middle school student, or you're a parent watching of a middle school student, list down those awards, their experiences, where they volunteered. My parents started us volunteering very early. We were volunteering in middle school, you know, so keep track of all of that. But here's the thing. I really believe in keeping this simple. So keep it to one document. It may be 2 pages, maybe 3 pages, and that's okay. But keep that to one document. That way you can always access that. Now, when I do these with students, I have them write it out physically because we're trying to brainstorm at that point. But then we transition to having an online version. That way they can refer to that. So if you love your notepad, if you want to do a PDF version, whatever is comfortable for you. But I would definitely say do a first draft of that, and then have a parent or someone that knows you to look over it, because sometimes when you're accomplishing things, you forget sometimes. And so ask someone that knows you, maybe that's volunteered with you, to look over it and make sure that you haven't left anything out, because all of these things, the hobbies, the talents, the qualities, what you're passionate about, these are directly tied to scholarships for you. And so, of course, the more things you can list, you're opening up more doors and more opportunities for you to access these scholarships. So this is to your benefit. And let me stress this. This is the first step. We don't jump into Google. We don't jump into Yahoo or Bing or your favorite search engine. We start with this, because your scholarship resume is your GPS. It is the roadmap. It tells you how to get from where you are today, maybe not being as confident about scholarships, or even if you're somewhat confident, to getting where you want to be. And that's where you're able to find scholarships. And here's the thing, not only find them, but in a quicker way, in a faster pace. Because that's another issue, you know, it's taking so much time to find these. And so if you have a list of what you're looking for, your resume, it's easy to go down the line, you know, and see what you need to focus on. So Io, any comments on that?
I really want to stress that the fact that you definitely said this is your GPS. This is what will navigate you to the opportunities that are available out there. But Parents, students, really take time to do this step. It is your personal inventory. So do a critical self-assessment on yourself, and don't be shy in this process, because again, it will lead you to the opportunities, scholarship opportunities that you might be overlooking as well.
And I like that. I like that you mentioned the critical assessment, because that's what it is. You're assessing yourself. And so I know, parents, they love to keep awards and certificates anyway, of their kids. And so this is a way to document that. And like I said, it's only going to help your child, to find more scholarships. So definitely do this first. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right, so local network. So here's the thing. You want to start locally, and let me explain why. Because your local scholarships, there's a smaller number of students that are eligible for them. So when we say a local scholarship, if I were here in my current hometown or my current town of Augusta, if I say a local scholarship, that means that I would most likely have to be a resident of the city where I reside, or my county, for example. And so that is a local scholarship. And so it's important that you take advantage of these scholarships first. And and actually I shared this with Ayo. I told her I was going to share this on this webinar. I had a colleague in the industry trying to give a local student a scholarship. And long story short, she called the mother, said, I have a $10,000 scholarship. All you have to do is be a resident of this area right here. Attend one of these high schools. And she says, if you can just fill out the form, we will give your son the $10,000. He had a balance of $15,000. So that's a large amount of money. And so she asked the mom and said, hey, if you can just fill out this form in the next, hour or so, we'll be able to go ahead, transfer to his account, we'll update the information, your child's information. And wouldn't you know that the mom says, I don't have time. Now she was at home and told my colleague that works in the office that I don't have the time. And parents, let me tell you, I'll let Ayo share her comments in a second, but let me tell you that if you think like that, and you can't even be bothered to fill out a simple application for a local scholarship, and your child, they're trying to give your child the money, I have to really question your mindset at that point, that hasn't become a priority. And I haven't said that yet in this webinar, but this has become a priority. This has to be, because the alternative is massive student loan debt. And right now, $50,000 may sound like some imaginary fictitious number, but the bill is coming. The bill is coming, and you're going to have to pay real money to pay this bill. And so let me tell you guys, if somebody calls you and says, I have $10,000 for your child, your first comment needs to be, can you send it right now? I will pull over. I will stop. I'll stay later at work. Let's get this done. Because even if your child is not as motivated, you helping your child, you probably will have to assume some of that financial responsibility if you can. And so this is how you can help your child, is by taking advantage of things like that. So back to the slide, creating a local network. So this includes local members of your community. Number one is start with your local chamber of commerce. And you can simply look that up. For me, I would say, Augusta Chamber of Commerce, or wherever you live. And so these are local business owners. But I'll tell you why I like the Chamber of Commerce, because they have already invested to be members of the Chamber of Commerce. They believe in giving back, a lot of them, because we patronize them, right? We go to their banks, we go to their restaurants, we go to their different places. And so they like to give back to local students. So if I were you, I would check that out, the local Chamber of Commerce, and just simply get a list of all those businesses and simply reach out. Your child can do that. You can do that on a lunch break. Reaching out, going to their website, just seeing what they have available. So that's number one. Number two is I would connect with any directors or anybody working for a local nonprofit, especially a nonprofit, and see what opportunities do they have for you. Scholarships, a paid internship, what have you, that they're giving money to, help students go to school. Also your local place of worship. One of my scholarships when I was living in Cincinnati, was that my local church gave me a scholarship. And let me tell you, that was much, much appreciated. So don't neglect your local places of worship. Also your local librarian. Let me talk about the library. I love the library. Because even though, we're in this day and age where, we're tech savvy, right? But with the local library, these librarians, I tell my students, they are trained researchers. Like, this is a part of their training to be a librarian. So take advantage of that. All of these people need to be in your local network, your local school counselors. They need to be in the network. Anyone that's attached to a local industry group where you want to do so, or where you want to be. So if you want to be a nurse, you need to be tapped in to the local chapter of I believe it's called the American Nursing Association. So it's getting connected to groups like that. Another one that I like, because we're all on social media, is I love to take advantage of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And I would literally put in your city, +sign. You can put in organizations, you can put in scholarships, and find local opportunities through social media. So, a lot of, all the social media platforms, they have a search feature, right? A search function. And so take advantage of that to find those local scholarships. These organizations, because, they're giving back, they love to promote that. They want to get eyeballs on what they're promoting, that scholarship. So they will post that on social media. So make sure that you're taking advantage of that. Ayo, do you have anything to add on the local piece? You're good to go?
I feel that parents, students tend to overlook that local opportunity. Yes. Maybe because of the dollar amounts is too small, so they don't want to be bothered with it. Maybe because it's just there. I have no idea. And I can't tell you it. I probably over 10 times I've been, organizations have reached out to me and saying, hey, we have this scholarship available and we don't have enough applicants. Can you send this out to your network? Can you share this on your website? And so you want to make sure that you don't sleep on those type of opportunities because they are available. These organizations are eager to provide you those funds. Sometimes it might just be you applying. I've heard that so many times. And I'll just quickly share a story. It might have happened about 3 or 4, maybe even 5 years ago. We received a scholarship opportunity at our church. It was forwarded to us, and they were giving out $5,000 scholarships, or something along those lines. I think it was definitely $5,000. Ashley, can you guess how many people applied for that scholarship?
I'm going to say 0.
Well, it was more than 0.
Okay. Maybe 1.
They had an allotment. I think it was $1,000, $5,000 scholarships, but they had an allotment, and only 200 students applied.
Wow.
And the money went undispensed. And so we just want to make sure, don't sleep on these opportunities. And to add to some local resources, you might want to check your school counselor's office as well, or your financial aid office. Your church might also have some type of bulletin board available that you might want to try to look into to see if there's some scholarships that you're eligible for.
You're right. And you reminded me of a point I wanted to bring up with the local financial aid office. Here's the thing, guys. Even if your child does not want to attend locally, on many of their websites, they separate scholarships on local scholarships where you do not necessarily have to be a college student attending there versus internal scholarships where you have to be an admitted student to attend there. So don't be afraid to call. And I've had parents of middle school students call because they don't need to know how old your child is. And you can simply call and say, do you guys have a list of local scholarships? Right? It doesn't hurt to do that. Same thing for the adult students as well. You don't have to disclose your age or say, hey, my kid's 13. Just simply ask them for a list. And then you guys can do the sifting yourself because now you know how to do that. All right. So let me get to the next slide. Let's see, All right. So I kind of jumped the gun a little bit, but that's the activity. Is I want you guys to write down a list of local organizations, including the businesses. Start with your Chamber of Commerce. I would make a quick stop to the library or go online, and I would make that list. And that would be my target list. That would be my first list that I would attack in terms of seeing if they have scholarships. Like Ayo shared with that example, this happens a lot, and it's unfortunate, because then on the other hand, I get calls from students that are upset. They're already in college and they can't pay the bill. you know, and I asked them, did you look into local scholarships? Because whether you got $2,000 or 400 or 500 scholarships, the money is the money. It doesn't matter how it's divided up.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, so here's the next one, and this is huge, guys. I don't talk about this enough, so I had to throw this in there. Is it matters who you're connected to, and that's a life lesson. We won't get into that. That's a life lesson, but it matters who you're connected to, because here's the thing. When you get connected with somebody that's already in your industry, they have access to things that you may not know. So, for example, if you're in I say nursing, because I have a lot of nursing students, but in the nursing field, just like any other industry, they have their annual conferences, they have their chapter meetings, they have their local meetings. I went to their website and saw, oh my goodness, at least several hundred scholarships. Just going through the website, I mean, 2 or 3 clicks. They make it so easy. And I mean, they covered everything from getting your associates in nursing all the way to your PhD. And so this is why you have to get plugged in, because even as new opportunities come up, or I'll say opportunities that are not as publicized, when you have a connection to the industry, they can say, hey, you know, I know you're looking for things. Let me forward that email. Just like IO was sharing when that scholarship organization forwarded to their church. You know, it's taking advantage of that relationship. So IO going to that local place of worship, she could now share that with the, you know, kids going there. So see, that's the benefit of having that relationship. So I want to encourage you guys, if you are not on LinkedIn, you have to. Like, that is so crucial. And take advantage of those local groups, those industry groups there. Get plugged in. There's a group for almost everything. Also on Facebook as well, the Facebook groups, get plugged in. Because again, if you focus on your industry organization, you already know those scholarships are going towards your, you know, intended career. And let me say this too. For some of you, you kind of have to have a 2-part approach to this. One, you're looking for scholarships that specifically say like nursing, engineering, you know, English, what have you. But you also have to understand that there are certain scholarship organizations where they're trying to get funding for more than one major. So they group similar majors together, similar careers. So for example, if you're going into nursing, don't neglect STEM. If you're going into engineering, don't neglect STEM. You know, if you're going into biology, for example, all of that is STEM. If you're looking more so at, let's say, community health, you want to be looking for public health scholarships, community health, health administration, anything, those are all similar. If you're looking for, if you're eventually headed to law school, you want to look for anything dealing with poli-sci, political science, pre-law, justice, law enforcement, anything like that. So it's important to make sure that you're getting connected, but also that you're widening your scope just a little bit to make sure that you're capturing all of the scholarships that fit you. Do you have anything to add to that?
No.
Okay. So here's the next thing, and is your activity. Is I want you to go to LinkedIn, set up a profile, it's free. And simply put in your industry name. All of those groups are going to pop up, and of course the people as well, right? Now, here's the thing, particularly with LinkedIn or any relationship like that, you don't want to go into connecting with people just to see what they can give you, because that's going to hurt the relationship. But I would say start with the LinkedIn group, get into a few of those, start asking questions, develop a relationship, and then from there you can then try to connect one-on-one and stay plugged into people. All right, so here's the next thing, and we're talking about winning now, right? So we did the searching piece, but now we want to talk about winning. So focus. So I love the bullseye that IO added here, because this is huge. You only want to apply for scholarships that are a perfect fit for you. So you're probably wondering, how do I know that? Well, you already did it, and it's use your scholarship resume. You know what fits you. So if you know that you're a tennis player and you come across a soccer scholarship, you don't have to waste any time on that because it doesn't fit you. Right? So make sure that you're actually physically taking that scholarship resume. That should be right near you on your tablet, your phone, or physical paper. That should be with you as you're going through this process. Because here's the thing, I can tell you this from a judge's perspective. They're looking for students that are a good fit. Yes, we're looking for the leadership part, and that is huge. But and you can know this actually by going to the organization's website. If you go to their About Us page or their mission page or their history page, you can see what they care about. You can see what their focus is. And so you have to make sure that your focus matches their focus. There should be something from your scholarship resume that you can pull out to connect to that organization, because that's what a judge is looking for. When they're looking through applications, they're looking for, okay, who's a great fit? Who is the type of student we're looking to support, right? And so I'll give you an example. If you're a psychology major, you want to be a child psychologist at some point in your life, and you come across a scholarship, or you come across an organization, and let's say that they're supporting, or their efforts are to get rid of childhood hunger or maybe childhood trauma and abuse, for example. If you have volunteered somewhere, if you have some experience with that somewhere, I would pull that out for your application, for your essay. We haven't gotten to the essay just yet, but that's something I would pull out, because now you've made a connection. And so now your chances of winning that scholarship has just increased, because you have given me what I want as a judge. I'm looking for that. We don't, a judge, the goal of that is to promote students that are tied with the passion or the mission of that organization. So a quick way to do that is simply go to the website, see what they care about, and whatever they care about, make sure that you're tying into that as you are filling out those applications. Ayo, any comments on that?
You know what's so funny? I like the fact that you said go to their website and see what's important to them in this process. Because as I've reviewed scholarship applications time and time again, and quickly when someone just slapped that application together.
Yeah.
And those who really took time to do research on the organization and really took time to tie what their characteristics, their qualities are to what the organization stands for. And so that's something you really wanted to take into consideration when looking for scholarships as well and applying.
I agree. I'm going to throw this in there, and it's going to be my little, comment for a minute. But, a lot of students and parents that are watching, this is why they shy away from this process, because it takes work. I see too many students that feel entitled, that because they fill out a form that they should just automatically be selected to receive the money. And then I see students out here, like Ayo just said, that are researching, that are taking their time, they're doing their homework because they know that's what it takes. And so at the end of the day, as you guys are listening to us, this is what you have to decide is, am I willing to do what it takes? Am I willing to meet the requirements, to do the homework? Because here's the thing, we're not just filling out applications because we have nothing else to do. The goal in mind is that we want to graduate without massive debt. And so if you want to do that, then you have to be willing to do the work and stay focused. All right, so here's the thing. I've been talking about the essay, but now we can really talk about it. And this is the essence of this with winning, is I want you guys to spend at least 80% of your time polishing your scholarship essays. And let me talk about essays for just a second, because a lot of students, whether you like to write or not, just the way that our education system is, I'll say at least in the U.S., typically in a school, there's just not a scholarship essay class. We learn other styles of writing. We learn about poetry. We learn about nonfiction, fiction, so forth and so on. But there's not really, in a lot of schools, there's not really a time or space dedicated to writing for scholarship essays, because the writing style is very different. And if you are an adult student watching, or a parent maybe headed on to maybe undergraduate school or grad school, I would say for you guys, the challenge is not turning it into a technical paper because, you're probably used to that from your job. Like I used to be a research analyst at my job, so I wrote technical papers all the time, and it's very factual. There's no emotion. There's no connection. It's this result leads to this result, leads to this result, with some data to support it. So I want to encourage you guys as well. This is not a dissertation. This is not technical writing. This is not a fiction, novel. It's nothing like that. But I want to challenge how you guys think about essays. An essay, a scholarship essay, is simply storytelling. And I share this all the time. When we were growing up, all of us, we learned through stories. We learned, our vocabulary increased. We learned about concepts and different things like that through stories. When we come home from work, I know Ayo probably does this with her husband. She'll come home and say, look, this is what happened at work, telling stories. I'll come home and call maybe my grandmother, or talk to my niece and nephews. Hey guys, this is what I experienced today, and you tell a story. And so think about this in a story. Stories are all around us, right? Movies, books, songs, television series. Those are all stories, and they capture our attention. They make us laugh. They make us feel emotion. We feel connected to the characters and the setting. And so you have to create the same experience for the scholarship judge. So when I read this, I want to feel like at the end of that essay that I know something about you deeper than your test scores. I know something about you. Your passions. What are you passionate about? Why do you want to be a nurse? That's why that's a common question, is why do you want to go into your field? Because we want to know what experience led you to that. Did you have a positive experience in a hospital one time? Or did you have a really scary experience with a nurse? Did you witness maybe a loved one dealing with a massive or major disease? And so you wanted to, help other people dealing with that disease. Maybe you're experiencing a disease or overcame something, a surgery, but why did you want to get into this? And then also, how are you going to use your education to further become a leader? That's the big thing, is how are you going to take all these experiences that you have, your passions, your talents, your hobbies, your leadership experience? How are you going to take this and now serve whatever community you want to serve through your career? So I tell my dental students, if you're going to school for dentistry, why? Because maybe you want to improve gum health, in a particular population, but whatever that is, make sure that that's coming through your essay. Now, here's the thing. When it comes to essays, and I'll give you a quick review, when you watch a movie, right, you have the beginning, the middle, and the end. But sometimes to capture the attention, we'll watch an action movie and it'll start off with a big bang, right, or a big scene. And then it'll go backwards, right, kind of retelling how it got to that point. But you have the creative license to do however you want to do. But please do not start with, I deserve this money because. Like, please don't do that. That's like one of the worst ways to start your essay. And also, another tip for when you write in the middle of your essay, putting the details together, you already have a list of details, and that's called your scholarship resume. Don't be afraid to pull from that, because you've already put that document together. And I'd also like to say this, is it has to be show and not tell. So if you say you're a leader, if you say you're this, then give me an example. Because here's the thing, I don't know you personally as a judge. So if you tell me I'm a leader, I'm just like, okay, and what? I want to see an example. How did you lead on the football field if you're a football player? How did you lead in that volunteer experience? How did you fix that problem at work? How did you do that? And give me an example. Another thing is this, I'm seeing a lot of this lately, the woe is me essays. Here's the thing. I have a student where she was able, and I'll tell you what we did with her. She had a traumatic childhood, and so she went into social work because she wanted to help other kids to avoid that. And so we worked together on her essays, and I told her, you can share that in your essay, but you have to share how you overcame it. Because if you don't share that part, then you're just sharing your sad story. And there's a lot of us with sad stories. We've all had bad experiences. We've all gone through something, that was a negative experience. But I see a lot of students trying to use that to play the victim role. And I can tell you as a judge, we see it too much. So that doesn't stand out to me. But what stands out to me is, what did you do with that pain? How did you turn that pain into purpose for your life? What did you do with that? So that's some ideas and tips for the middle of your essay. Now for the ending of your essay, please do not end it with, so I should get this money because. The judges know you're applying because you want the money. They know that. So it's important that when you're ending your essay, that you summarize the points that you're sharing in your essay, share what you've learned from that, and then lastly, tie it into, and so with this degree, with this degree in nursing, with this degree in medicine or biological sciences or architecture or fashion design, I plan to help others by doing this. So that way you're able to tie into the leadership process. And so I want to end this segment with this, is please don't stuff your essay full of your accomplishments. First of all, most applications already ask you to list them, so the judges already know. But secondly, judges, I can tell you, it puts a bad taste in our mouth when we see a kid that's just bragging on themselves. We know you're amazing, and that's great, but show us, what did you learn from that? How has that shaped you? How has that shaped your passions? So just be real careful about stuffing your essay full of accomplishments.
And then what I want to also add to this, Ashley, is sometimes when you read an essay, you can tell that it wasn't really the student that wrote it, or
Yes.
it's been over edited, that you know the student's voice is no longer there, and this is definitely the voice of a PhD student. So you definitely want to be very careful when reviewing or when having people review your scholarship essay, because you want to make sure you retain your voice in that essay.
And I'm glad you shared that, because parents that are watching, I know you want your child to get into the best school possible, and that's Ayo's area. So if you want to do that, make sure you get with her about getting into the school. But please do not write your child's essays. Do not. And let me tell you, like Ayo said, we can spot that. A judge can spot that when an essay, like she said, is over edited, the child's voice is lost. And I know it's coming from a good place. You want to see your child get in and do well, get that scholarship, but they have to write. And so for some of you, you have to, I'll say lovingly, strongly encourage them to write. This, like I said, 80% of your time needs to be spent on these essays. So if they need to cut back on some things this summer, then that's what needs to be done. But this has become a priority. All right, so this one is huge. It's follow-up, because students don't do this. They just don't. And I understand, you've worked so hard on the essay. You've worked so hard, first of all, on finding the scholarship. And you're like, I'm done. I've sent it off. I'm done. I'm moving on to the next one. But here's the thing. Follow-up is so important. Because it keeps you top of mind. And that's what you have to keep in mind throughout this process. It's about staying top of mind. Yes, you're unique, and that's your superpower, and you want to push that, your unique qualities and things like that. But you also want to follow up. So let me give you a simple way, quick way, easy way to follow up. If it's a local scholarship, sending a quick email, maybe 2 sentences, hi, address the person. Thank you so much for the opportunity to apply for, insert name of the scholarship, and just say thanks. Very simple. You're not sending a threatening message, you better give me this money or nothing crazy like that. And then if it's a national or if it's a larger organization, they most likely are on social media. So feel free to tag them and say, hey, at Coca-Cola, I just applied for whatever the name of the scholarship is. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And that's it. But it's a simple follow-up, a simple stay on top of mind. So I have a short story to go with that to show you the power of follow-up. So if you remember just a few moments ago, I was sharing about my student that was working in social work, and we wrote an essay about her traumatic childhood. Now she overcame that. So what I had her to do is, after she applied for that, I had her to send an email follow-up. I believe we waited a week and a half for the email follow-up. And so I had her to contact the organization. She sent an email because it was a state scholarship, so that's still local, but it was a local scholarship. So I had her to send a quick email. She addressed the committee, and she said, hello, she included the names, and she said, I recently applied for that she inserted the name of the scholarship, and she said, I just want to thank you guys so much for the opportunity. And also, she included as well, I love the fact that you guys, what your organization stands for, and I share, in your passion about working in social work. And so she was able to kind of plug in her passion about that. And do you know, let me tell you guys, in 2 weeks after she followed up, she got a letter and got an email from the organization. And they said, Ms. Douglas, you are the only student out of hundreds of students that apply. You're the only student that followed up. And so we would just want to let you know that we are giving you the full amount of the scholarship. And by the way, that covered her bill, so she had no bill. And they said, in addition to that, they said, we want to celebrate you. So we're going to host a gala. Okay. So she said that, the organization, they said that we're going to have a gala in your honor. So we're going to fly you upstate. She's in New York. They said, we're going to fly you upstate to New York. They said, we're also going to give you a shopping spree. So she went shopping. She was interviewed on TV, all from a follow-up, guys. So not only did she get the scholarship, but she was honored at a gala. She was flown up there, hotel covered, shopping spree. I mean, you can't ask for a better outcome. And that was all because, I mean, her essay was great, but it was all because she took the time to follow up. And then on top of that, after all of that, she came back. They came back to her and said, you mentioned on your application that you plan on pursuing your PhD. And they said, we would love to support you in that. So when you're in that process, please reach out to us. So now she set herself up for now the next degree, you know, that she'll get help for that. So guys, following up is huge. Make sure that you follow up. All right, so as I promised, I wanted to share some actual scholarships because people ask me all the time, is this real? You know, and of course, too, I wanted to share this, and Ayo can attest to this as well. There are scams out there. And so I wanted to give you guys some concrete examples of what you're of scholarships at these different age levels, because these are real scholarships. And so I want to highlight these three right here. This is for middle school students. So these are for students in that beginning teenage stages. So these are three here that you guys can actually click on. The Angela Award is for young ladies 5th to 8th grade. So that's for my young ladies. Action for Nature, as you can imagine, are for students that are interested in environmental science, protecting the environment and animals and so forth and so on. Davidson Fellows is a broad scholarship. So that's for your STEM, students want to go into STEM careers and also the arts as well. So if they're into the singing, dancing, so forth and so on. So here's the thing. I want you guys to, as you're looking at these and taking advantage of these resources, is read through them, click on them, and remember what Ayo and myself have been sharing throughout this presentation today, is that you want to do the scholarship resume, you know, go through the steps and check out the About Us page on each of these three organizations. And they do exist because I checked. And so they will tell you exactly what they're looking for, what they care about. So take advantage of that. But my big tip, if I could do one tip, my big tip for middle school is just focusing on your talents and your hobbies at this point. Ayo, anything to add for middle school people?
No.
Okay.
I think my
Oh, is it me?
Hold on for a second. Oh,
okay.
It was trying to open the links.
Oh, okay. All right, for my high school people. So if you're a parent listening to if you're a parent listening and you have a high school student, now mind you, let me talk about this for just a second. And I know we're going to extend this a little bit so we can share this with you guys. But for high school, and I actually got this today. I'm actually going to dig into this in another segment. But my niece, who's 14, she was volunteering at a place, and so she got into a conversation with she went to a vet place, so a vet tech, and they were surprised that she told them that there are scholarships for students in 9th and 10th grade, and they said, oh no, you know, we only thought there were scholarships for high school seniors. But of course, Ayo and myself, we know better. There are scholarships for students at the beginning of their high school career. So if you have a child in the 9th grade, they need to start now, like yesterday. So this is not just high school seniors, but these are high school students, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. So I wanted to share this first one, the Burger King Macklemore Foundation. It is your, Burger King scholarship. So this is a national scholarship, but believe it or not, you still can stand out. And so one of the things they focus on is your students' talents and hobbies. And so click on that. That is live right now. Voice of Democracy. So if you have a student, a child that's interested in going into politics maybe, or government, law, anything like that, that's a good one for them. The American Legion is the National High School Oratorical Contest. So if your child's really into public speaking and things like that, communications, I would definitely have them to check into that. And again, my big tip for my high school students is, again, focusing on what fits you. Focus on your talents and your hobbies. All right, so for my adult students, I didn't leave you guys out. These are three organizations. These scholarships are specifically for adult students. So let me say this. A lot of adult students, some of you guys, and I get these questions, you feel a little frustrated because you keep finding the high school scholarships. But I want to challenge how you're looking for them and so I guess I'll start with the tip and I'll work backwards, is you want to focus on memberships, because a lot of you may be members of, as you can see, I have a Greek organization on here, Alpha Sigma Lambda. So if you're a part of a fraternity, sorority, religious organization, social, industry, any kind of connection, take advantage of that membership and ask about scholarships. And also your future college or university. A lot of these colleges and universities now have an adult student services office, and so feel free to reach out. Don't neglect your financial aid office. Say, hey, I'm an adult student, I'm applying to attend your college. What scholarship resources do you have? And so don't be afraid to ask them for those resources. And also the earlier tips that I shared along with Ayo, don't be afraid to take advantage of local scholarships. Obviously you're not focusing on the high school aspect, but don't be afraid to look into that. So here are 3 scholarships. The Imagine America Foundation, that is open to any adult student. They just want to see more adult students progressing in college. So take advantage of that. The Assist scholarship, that is specifically for women. It is founded by the EWI, that's an international women's organization. And then lastly, Alpha Sigma Lambda. Now let me tell you something about this one. So you would think, right, okay, Alpha Sigma Lambda, I probably have to be a member, right? But here's the thing. I was reading through their requirements, and you do not have to be a local member, guys. So if you're an adult student, you meet the other requirements, GPA, so forth and so on, I definitely want you to check that out. So sometimes, I know you may shy away from a Greek organization or something that you think probably is limited to members, but still check, because I noticed in this case, and that's why I added this one, that you do not have to be a member to apply. All right, so international students, we did not leave you guys out. So there's a CG Trader, Fulbright scholarship. Yes, they do have a scholarship for foreign students as well. And then MindSumo. So the first 2 are common. You know, it's not limited to a particular major, so definitely take advantage of that. I want to talk about MindSumo for a second. I was looking them up, this organization, and so it's a scholarship organization where they give challenges to those going into a business major or a finance major. And so they give you challenges, and so corporations are sponsoring these. And so basically, if your response is selected, you win the scholarship money. So I thought that was kind of unique. That's under MindSumo. But I want to challenge my international students for a second and think about this. Whether you're studying, whether you're in another country and wanting to study in the US or elsewhere, you are considered a study abroad student, right? So if you're considered a study abroad student, that means that you need to be looking also for study abroad scholarships, because you're studying abroad. So I know that sounds basic, but don't neglect those scholarships. And that includes whether you're an American wanting to study abroad or whether you live abroad and want to study in America, that applies to you. And so at the bottom, my big tip for you guys is focus on your future career field. There, just like I mentioned in the beginning of this presentation, that there are industry organizations. I was referring to the US at that point, but there are also international industry associations. So don't neglect those. And also, and this obviously depends on your country, but check with your, I'll say your education department or Ministry of Education, depending on how it's called, and see if they have any scholarships to assist you to study abroad. I noticed that there's the China Scholarship Council. I was looking that up, the CSC, and they actually had scholarships for their local Chinese students to study abroad. So definitely tap into your local network as well. All right, so of course I had to share some websites. Oh, and Ayo, thank you for adding the ScholarX. I wanted you to add that, so I'm so glad you did, because I couldn't remember the name. But I love scholarships.com, amazing. I like them because it's a free app attached to that. They also have, their website, and they actually have categories as well. So if you're scanning across your scholarship resume, and let's say you have tennis, or football, what have you, you can go straight and click on the athletic scholarships there. So the same thing with fastweb.com. These are free, so there's no charge. www.findaid.org/scholarships. Actually met one of the directors last year. It's a great organization. Raise.me is geared towards high school. So basically you get scholarships for your accomplishments. So you upload those. The Shally app, I love them. Saw them on Shark Tank. I'm a big fan. of the team. I forget his name. Is it Ryan? Is it Ryan Aya? I don't know, but I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
He liked our post today. That's all I know.
So I love the Shally app and what they're doing, and I'm so glad Ayo added it, the ScholarX app, and I'll let her talk about that because she's more well-versed than I am, but definitely you need to take advantage of these apps, guys. The resources are right here in front of you. And then lastly, I want to end with my group. It's a scholarship bank, so you can go to bit.ly/the scholarship bank group and get access to the conversations and things that I share in there. So Ayo, tell us about ScholarX.
So basically, ScholarX app, if you're familiar with Scholly app, it's kind of somewhat similar as far as providing scholarships all at your mobile device. So ScholarX apps is geared towards primarily students in the countries of Nigeria and Ghana. So if you are interested in studying abroad, I would definitely recommend that you download that app in your app store. They also have a platform within the ScholarX company that if you are looking for sponsorship, so maybe you need money to pay for your classes, and this is for students in Ghana and Nigeria right now. They're expanding. So if you're looking for money to pay for your school fees, books, what have you, they have a platform now that allows students to go on and say, I need X amount of money so that I can pursue whatever it is, whether it's books, your education, or what have you. And so they've been quite successful in helping students fund their education that way. So it's either you use them just to look for scholarships, or you use them to let people out there in the world know that you are looking for funding as well. And what I'd like to do really quick, Ashley, is I actually skipped a slide, so I'm going to go back.
Sure.
Do it really quick. And when we were talking about local scholarships, I admit, if I don't do this, I have a friend, she will probably call me immediately after this webinar is done. When it comes to high school students, in this case, or even college students, or even students who are returning to school, you want to make sure that you're checking your state financial aid website. Now, these websites provide, I'll talk about the state of Maryland. In the state of Maryland, what they do is once you complete your FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid, that's the application that will trigger the school to review you for federal aid. So that's the Pell Grant and student loans, federal student loans. The state of Maryland downloads this information into their database, and they review your application to see if you are eligible for state aid. And typically this is grants and scholarships. So I have a student who, actually 2 students in these past 2 years, who were eligible for the state aid, and they are no longer, basically University of Maryland, which is about $25,000 a year, the student is now able to go to the University of Maryland for free. I have another student at Mount St. Mary's. Basically, if they chose not to take out the student loan max for a freshman, which is about $5,500, the student would, or if they chose to, the student only have to pay $1,000, or I think it was even less than that. So don't leave money on the table. Definitely check into your state's website. And the link here I have, nasfa.org/state, and I'll leave the whole link there for you. There, it will allow you to check the different state websites. So I'm talking about Maryland. So if you're in Florida, you can click on Florida on that link, and you'll be able to, it'll redirect you directly to that state financial aid website.
And I'm glad you shared that. And while you're getting to the end of it, I wanted to say this. That is so important, guys, as you're, just like what Ayo just said, this is a college funding strategy in its entirety for you guys. It includes financial aid, it includes scholarships. This has to be a combined effort. And a lot of, I think some of the issue too is making those false assumptions, or just depending on, well, hey, I'm going to get covered, I don't have to do too much. But no, this takes work, and checking those state deadlines, guys, because you know, when you miss those deadlines or even getting to the wire of those deadlines, you're putting your, you know, you could be getting more funding and that's in jeopardy now because you're procrastinating. So please, please, I'm begging you guys, please don't procrastinate. All right, so recap. We have covered a lot tonight, but it's been good. So number one, I've been saying this, I guess, like a broken record. Focus on yourself. No one can be better at you than you. No one else. So focus on your qualities, your leadership experience, your hobbies, and your talents. We talked about different ways to do that. Next is make sure to create a local network. You know, I talked about some different places and people to include in your local network, because that way they can give you access to more scholarship opportunities. Next is make sure that you're staying connected with industry organizations in your future career field. LinkedIn is huge for that, guys, huge. Next is in terms of winning scholarships, make sure that you're only applying for scholarships that are a perfect fit for you. If you're missing one or more of the requirements, that's not a good fit for you, right? And then lastly, there is, I'll say there's fortune in the follow-up. So make sure that you're following up with your scholarship organizations. I shared 2 simple ways to do that. Send a quick email, 2 sentences or less, just simply thanking them for the opportunity. And if they're a large organization, just simply tag them online, social media, and say, hey, thanks so much for the opportunity to apply for such and such scholarship.
Awesome. You know what, Ashley, we talked about following up, but I also want to mention thanking the people that helped you through that application.
Yes.
So if you had someone that edited, thank them, send them a letter, send them some cookies. If your guidance counselor had to get your transcripts there at the deadline because you forgot or you just came across this opportunity, thank them. Thank you goes a long way in this process because it encourages the person to maybe look out for you in the future if another opportunity comes up.
You're so right.
Okay. All right, Ashley, thank you so much. We'll get to questions. So if you have questions at this point, please go ahead and put them in the chat box. Zoom, I see you guys out there. I have some questions coming in. Facebook, I also see you. So continue to go ahead and put your questions there. Again, this webinar is recorded. Slides and the recording will be shared with those who are registered within the next 2 days. If you're watching this webinar and did not register, go to bit.ly/USC web request to have the slides and the recording emailed to you. And so if you need more help with anything in this whole process, I'm going to go ahead and leave this up here while we answer questions. We'll have Ashley's information, her email, her company website, as well as that her Facebook group that she has out there. She is live in that book group every day, probably multiple times a day as well, sharing tips. I have to pick that up from you. And then also I have my information there. And if you are needing support in the college admissions process, feel free to set up a free 20-minute intro call so we can discuss your concerns. All right, so let me
I have a question. I have a question in the Zoom. Well, 2 questions.
Okay.
But before I get into that, everybody help me thank Io. She's amazing. And thank you. I'm so glad to come on here. She knows I love talking about this. So this is fun stuff for me. But Io, thank you so much for even having the platform to ask me to come on and share. And guys, let me reiterate, because she's a humble soul. If you need any college admissions, application, campus visits, financial aid review, you do need that. Let me just tell you. Let me tell you, going through this alone, you don't know what you don't know. And see, Io she's already navigated those roadblocks herself, and now she does that with her clients. And so I need you to go to www.uscexperts.com immediately. And I need you to schedule that 20-minute call with her or her team and get yourselves together, because I'm telling you guys, just the financial aid review, if you do nothing else, that can save you guys thousands of dollars, where she can review your forms or advise you through that process. She can advise you through the application process. So if you know you need more help and you need that expert help, she's definitely the person for that. So I wanted to say that.
Thanks, Ashley.
You're welcome. I had to put that out there because I want y'all to know that. But the question we got was, it says, when do we research on the Chambers of Commerce? How do these organizations help us search for scholarships? So let me explain. So the Chambers of Commerce they're local organizations full of businesses in the area. There tend to be more businesses, but these businesses have invested and decided to be a part of an organization. So what you would do with this is take the list, right? So you can go to your Chamber of Commerce website, look for the directory. It should be at the top somewhere. Click on that, and you want to see what businesses are a part of the Chamber of Commerce. And now you simply want to contact those businesses either through phone calls, emails. I would do a quick email. That's what I did myself. Quick email, and so that's how you would reach out to that. But the Chamber of Commerce itself, as far as I'm aware, does not give scholarships. I could be wrong because I don't know all the Chambers of Commerce. But that's a great starting point to get the local businesses that do provide scholarships. Ayo, somebody says, when you are done, can you go back to the high school scholarships?
Okay.
I don't know. I think is this Peggy? Let me see. I couldn't see her name. I'm not sure. I think, is it Peggy? I think. Let me see.
Yeah, I can't see it.
Okay. So Peggy, I'm not sure if you needed to see the slide or if you wanted me to talk about it. But if you can throw up a comment, I can answer your question.
I went back to the slide just in case, Ashley.
Okay. So yeah, so Peggy, I'm going to answer this next question. Oh yeah, she said just a slide. Okay, perfect. Peggy says, thank you both. I'm going to be in the 11th grade, and seeing this gets me so excited and yet worried about going into it because my 10th grade year was really bad. I was going to apply and I procrastinated. How can I overcome procrastinating? You know what, Peggy? I love your honesty and I love this question. I've never been asked this, but I have an answer for you. I know Ayo does too, so I'm gonna let her share too. First of all, I'm glad that you're excited, and I can definitely understand the worry because you had a difficult year last year. But here's the good news. You're starting from ground zero again when school starts, right, in the 11th grade. And so you now you have some more knowledge. You've learned some lessons, I hope, from last year, and you could take that into your 11th grade year, and Ayo can tell you more about on the admission side, but your grades matter. I don't know if it was a grade issue, but your grades matter at this point. I'll let Ayo go into that, but your SAT and ACT testing is important in the 11th grade. But back to the procrastinating, it's really a mindset thing. And so you have to make up in your mind that not only can you do this, but you have a responsibility to do this because you want to set yourself up for the best position possible. You don't want to go into college taking on massive amounts of student loan debt. Because here's the thing, you'll always pay back more than you borrow. That's the name of the game. It's called interest. So you don't want to graduate from college with a degree in debt in hand. You want to graduate with a degree in opportunities in hand. And that way you're not worried about debt. So I'll let Ayo share her part.
Amen to that. Okay, so Peggy, one thing what comes to mind to me when I read your question, I really want to understand, and it's probably a conversation that we need to have offline, is why are you procrastinating? Is it that you have too much going on? Is it that you don't really know where to start? Is it that you have so much on your plate and you really don't know how to break down the process? It could be tons of things, but I think we need to talk offline about your procrastinating. I know for me, when I procrastinate, it's two things. Either one, I really don't want to do it, or two, I don't know how to tackle it. So feel free to reach out to me. Let's talk through that and we can see how we can support you. Actually, I think we answered all the Zoom questions.
Okay.
Right?
Oh, she says sometimes it's I have nowhere to start, and she says she'll definitely reach out to you.
Okay, cool.
Ayo will get you straight. She'll get you straight.
All right, so let me go on over to Facebook to see if we have any questions here. And thanks to my Facebook followers and those who have shared out the post. Let me see in here if I have any questions. I live in PG. It seems I have to move now to Howard. Do I really have to move? Ms. Abike, I think let's talk offline about that. There's so many factors that might go into that, me responding to that. So let's definitely reach out to me. Let me go ahead and put this back up here. Reach out to me so we can discuss that. Okay, wait. I live in PG County, 2 kids in PG County schools, one heading to one middle school assigned has not had favorable results. A friend has moved to Howard and Montgomery County because the school system is better. We're considering moving to. Is that wise? Again, I think you are clarifying the question. Let's really talk offline. I know a few families that have relocated out of PG County. PG County is one of the counties in Maryland here. Okay. And some of the schools don't really have the best school rating, and as far as college readiness is concerned, a lot of parents are concerned and have been moving out of the county. But let's discuss offline, and I can probably get you some resources or some additional people to speak to, so that you can make an informed decision. So that's all I have on Facebook. I'm gonna check my WhatsApp real quick, make sure no one sent me any messages on there.
And Ayo, somebody, the email we got, I'm gonna send an
email response, right.
But I wanted to talk about it. Someone asked, basically they have a 2 and 4-year-old, and they asked about scholarships. And I kind of smiled because I know some people are like, 2 and 4 years old, like that's crazy. But I love that question because I've shared this before. There are scholarships. Before I was saying there are scholarships as young as 5 years old, but about a month and a half ago, I found a scholarship that starts with children as young as 4 years old. So the question was right in line. There are scholarship opportunities out there for your child as young as 4 years old, but I want to emphasize this. At 4 years old, clearly a child is not writing an essay, right? Because they don't have that skill. It's not developed yet, unless they're some super genius. But at that age, it's more so on their talents and their hobbies. What are they interested in? It's things like that. And so you don't have to be worried. It's not writing an essay. It's nothing of the sort. Because the providers, the scholarship organizations know that. They're aware that their child is 4. But again, it's back to their hobbies and talents. And so this is why I'm encouraging you parents, even if you have a 4-year-old, whatever their interests are, cultivate that, foster that, encourage that, get them into tap dancing lessons, or if you see they love animals, get them around something, an organization where they can do that, or drop off dog food, whatever you can do to help your child to take advantage of those things that interest them. So anyway, back to the question, the person was asking, what can they do now? And so number 1 is to take advantage of the scholarships that are available now, but also get them involved. And actually, Ayo, this kind of piggybacks a little bit on that question the parent was asking about moving. I know that we should be looking to the school to provide a certain amount of activities in terms of college prep. I'm not by no means defending anybody, but at the same time, we have to take advantage of local opportunities and events, whether that's at churches, whether that's at colleges. You guys have to take advantage, and we have to stop saying, and I'm not saying that anybody has said this, but in our mind, we have to stop saying, well, I'm too busy, I don't have time, I don't want to, my kid doesn't want to go. But if this is how you're going to get that help, then we have to make a decision that it becomes a priority. And so for the mom that asked the question about your 2 and 4-year-old, get them engaged early, get them involved. And then when opportunities for scholarships do present themselves, then take advantage of those too.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Ashley, thank you so very much. You have got so many golden nuggets tonight, and I know that parents are walking away well-informed and excited and motivated, and as well as students about pursuing this scholarship search as well as application process. So again, parents and students who have joined, thank you so much. We will make the recording and the slides available in about maybe 1 or 2 days. If you have any questions before that time, feel free to email me or Ashley. Our contact information is on the screen right now. If you happen to be watching the replay, or if you decide to go back and watch this, Feel free to leave questions in the comments. If you're on Facebook, we will definitely get back to you. I think one question just came in. Let me see.
Sure. And Ayo, thank you for letting me talk over 8. I'm sorry.
Oh, someone asked, when will we hold another one of these? Ooh, Ashley.
That's a good question. Guys, we'll have to ask Miss Ayo to give me the date and time. I'll be there.
Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely figure something out.
Okay.
This is valuable, and I really wanted to get it out to people that I'm connected to, people that I love, whether personally I know them or through social media we're connected. This is information people need to know about in advance, and I'm so glad that you are a resource to us, Ashley.
Thank you.
Okay, so again, everyone, thank you. We're going to go ahead and end the webinar here. Feel free to reach out to myself or Ashley. Make sure you join her Facebook group. The link is on the screen as well. All right, everyone, have a great, great evening. Bye-bye.